Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the cold, invisible weight of someone's gaze on you? You know, that subtle shift in energy, like the atmosphere changes the second you step in? Maybe they smile, but it doesn't quite reach their eyes. Maybe they greet you, but there's this undercurrent of tension that you could almost taste. It's not your imagination. They might be hiding something. They might secretly dislike you. And while their words say one thing, their actions are whispering something entirely different. Welcome to the world of silent resentment. What if I told you that despite all your efforts to be kind, to fit in, there are people around you who are quietly harboring dislike? You've probably felt it before. That strange vibe, the one that makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells. It's a reality many of us face. But the truth is that people's feelings towards you are not always what they seem. Sometimes they hide it. Well, they think they do. But let's be real here. If you're paying attention, the signs are there. Today, we're diving into 10 reasons why people secretly hate you, and why those subtle signs aren't so subtle after all. You might think you're imagining it, or maybe you're telling yourself it's just a bad day for them. But guess what? Those signs are there for a reason. They're not just being a little off or busy. No, my friend, it's something deeper. We'll break down the unspoken truths, the ones they think you'll never notice. But before we get into the meat of it, here's your mission. Hit that like button right now. Do you know why? Because when you take action, YouTube takes notice. This content will reach more people who, just like you, are searching for clarity. You're not just helping yourself. You're helping others see through the fog of fake politeness and buried disdain. And the truth? When you help others, life has a way of helping you in return. But let's get real for a moment. If you can't even press like, then maybe this video isn't for you. Why? Because if you can't take the first step, how can you expect to break free from the little things holding you back? No action, no change. So step up, hit that like button, subscribe, share, and watch things shift in your favor. Ready to dive in? Let's tear through the veil of social niceties and see the truth. Here's where the real journey begins. Number 1. They're jealous of your success. Jealousy. It's that lovely little emotion people try so hard to mask with smiles and backhanded compliments. But if you look closely, it's almost always there, lurking behind the facade. You know the drill. You've worked your tail off, reached your goals, and finally achieved something worthwhile. And then, there's that one person. The one who congratulates you with a stiff smile. Or worse, the one who suddenly turns the conversation back to their own, far less impressive accomplishments. Yep, they're jealous, and they think you don't know it. But you do. So, here's the thing. You can't always expect the world to throw a parade every time you hit a milestone. But sometimes, that quiet resentment is hard to ignore. You've been there, right? Maybe it's the coworker who suddenly starts getting too busy to collaborate on a project they used to love. Or it's the friend who starts throwing little jabs like, "It must be nice to have it all together," when your life seems to be on track. It's passive-aggressive behavior disguised as concern or friendly banter. But we all know what's going on. They're jealous. Now, don't get it twisted. We've all felt a pang of envy here and there. But here's where it gets tricky. When someone lets jealousy grow and fester, it can easily evolve into resentment. They're not just jealous of your success. They resent the fact that they're not achieving the same things. The worst part? They might even believe that your success somehow diminishes theirs when in reality, the only thing your success is diminishing is their sense of self-worth. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you're at work, and you get a promotion. You've earned it through hard work, long hours, and dedication. But instead of congratulations, one of your colleagues gives you the cold shoulder and avoids eye contact. Instead of celebrating your win, They act like it's no big deal, or worse, they gossip behind your back about how you must have done something to get ahead. The truth? They envy the fact that you're doing something right, and they're not. It's not personal. It's just their insecurities bleeding into your life. So what do you do with all of this? Simple. You keep doing your thing. Focus on your personal growth, and let the haters stew in their bitterness. Led by example, continue to rise, and never let their jealousy disrupt your journey. After all, as Epictetus wisely said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Your success isn't about impressing anyone else. It's about improving yourself. And if they can't handle it, well, that's on them. Keep moving forward. Your success is yours. Let them envy it all they want. Just remember, you earned it. Number 2. Because you are what they've always wanted to be, but they're too lazy to try. It's quite something, isn't it? You walk into a room, exuding confidence, self-assuredness, and a sense of accomplishment, and suddenly, there's that person who can't seem to look at you without feeling a little annoyed. But it's not because you've done anything wrong. It's because you represent everything they want but can't bring themselves to work for. Your success, your growth, your ability to just be, it's a glaring reminder of what they wish they could have. But the effort it takes to get there feels too much for them to bear. So what do? They turn their resentment toward you. They convince themselves that you must be doing something wrong to have what they crave. Instead of acknowledging that your success is the result of your hard work, they frame you as the villain in their own story. You're not just succeeding, you're making them feel like failures for not taking the same steps you did. And instead of being motivated by your achievements, they dig in their heels, criticizing you to protect themselves from facing their lack of effort. It's the classic case of, I want what you have, but I'm too lazy to put in the work to get it. They see your confidence, your success, your ability to live a life they've always dreamed of, but they're too scared or too unwilling to put in the effort it takes to make it happen. It's easier to tell themselves you're somehow doing it wrong than to face the reality that they've never taken that first step. Let's look at a real-world example. At work, you've just been promoted or recognized for an achievement, and you can see the envy building in a colleague's eyes. They smile politely, but there's no warmth in it. They'll even throw in a casual comment like, "Oh, must be nice," or, "I don't know how you manage to do it all." Why? Because your success highlights something they want, but can't quite manage to get: dedication, self-discipline, and ambition. Instead of recognizing their own need to try harder, they shift the blame onto you, convincing themselves that your success must somehow be a fluke or a result of being lucky. So what's the best way to deal with this? Keep going. Keep working hard. Let their complaints, their passive-aggressive remarks, and their resentment wash over you. It's not about you. It's about their inability to admit that they could have achieved what you have if they only had the courage to try. As Epictetus wisely said, the greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Keep climbing, and let them stay stuck in their comfort zone. Number 3. Misunderstandings and false rumors about you. It's almost a given that, at some point, people will misunderstand you. Whether it's a quick comment that gets twisted or a rumor that spreads like wildfire, people tend to fill the gaps with their assumptions. The irony? You don't even have to do anything for it to happen. Sometimes, the mere fact that you're minding your own business is enough to spark rumors. Suddenly, you're the villain in someone else's narrative, and no matter how much you try to clear things up, it's like you're fighting a battle with shadows. So how do you handle it when people misunderstand or spread false rumors about you? First, let's acknowledge that this is a normal part of life. People love to talk, and oftentimes, their assumptions come from their insecurities or lack of understanding. It's easier for someone to point fingers at you than to reflect on their shortcomings. But here's the good news. Understanding the root of these misunderstandings and learning how to respond with calmness and clarity can turn the situation around. Consider this scenario. You're at work, and suddenly you hear whispers. A simple comment you made, perhaps in jest, has turned into a full-blown rumor. Maybe someone misinterprets your words, and suddenly you're being labeled as difficult or rude. Instead of reacting defensively, take a moment to breathe. Instead of adding fuel to the fire, choose to handle the situation with grace. What's key here is to realize that, in most cases, false rumors or misunderstandings are not about you. They're about the person spreading them. People create these stories because it helps them feel better about themselves, or perhaps it gives them a sense of control. It's not a reflection of your character, but a reflection of their own need to judge or gossip. To handle this, first, stay calm. Reacting impulsively will only make things worse. If you must address the rumor, do so with a simple, clear statement that aligns with your true character. Don't get defensive. Focus on facts, not emotions. For instance, if a colleague misunderstood something you said, calmly say, "I understand how that might have come across differently, but here's what I meant." Keep it factual and move on. Also, focus on your actions and character. Rumors will come and go, but your integrity is yours to protect. Surround yourself with people who truly know you and can see through the noise. The more you live authentically, the less power these rumors will have over you. Lastly, practice letting go. Not every misunderstanding needs to be cleared up. Sometimes, it's best to let people make their assumptions while you stay true to who you are. In the end, false rumors and misunderstandings are inevitable, but they don't have to define you. Stay calm, focus on your actions, and remember, the less energy you give to defending yourself, the more space you have to build the life you truly want. Number 4. They lack compassion. And nothing quite stings like realizing that someone doesn't have the basic decency to care. It's a bitter pill to swallow, especially when you've always extended kindness and empathy to others, only to be met with indifference or cruelty. People who lack compassion tend to see the world through a narrow lens, where everyone else is either a tool to be used or a hurdle to overcome. They can't fathom the notion of caring for others without expecting something in return. So what do? They build walls around their hearts, leading empathy, kindness, and understanding outside. But here's the funny part. While they may think they're tough or realistic, they're just hiding behind a facade of self-protection. They don't understand that true strength comes from vulnerability, from showing compassion in the face of life's chaos. They might try to convince themselves that showing kindness makes them weak, but in reality, it takes far more courage to care for others than to ignore their suffering. Let's take an example. Imagine you're dealing with a difficult situation. Maybe a family member is going through a tough time. You reach out, offer support, and try to understand their perspective. But instead of responding with care, someone around you just shrugs it off. They dismiss the situation, offering no words of comfort or empathy. They might even say something like, "Well, life's tough. Get over it." How easy it is for them to belittle others, isn't it? Meanwhile, you're the one standing there, feeling the sting of their lack of compassion. What do? First, acknowledge that their lack of empathy isn't a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. They might not have the capacity to care right now, and that's their problem, not yours. Don't take it personally. Next, protect your peace. They may not understand or care about your struggles, but that doesn't mean you have to let their lack of compassion drag you down. Practice self-compassion instead. Treat yourself with the kindness and empathy they refuse to give. The Stoics were no strangers to understanding the complexities of human nature. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best way to keep good acts in memory is to repeat them." So, let your actions speak louder than their indifference. The more you act with compassion, the more you reinforce your strength. And one thing's for sure, you won't be the one who's lost in the end. Number 5. They're influenced by society's expectations. Here's a bitter truth for you. Society doesn't want you to be different. It doesn't want you to stand out, challenge the norm, or break free from the mold. No, society wants you to fit in like a perfectly square peg in a round hole. And when you don't, when do you dare to live outside the lines? Prepare for the resentment. People around you, who blindly bought into the social script, will begin to look at you like you're the problem. As if your refusal to conform is some personal insult to their carefully constructed world. They won't say it directly, of course. It's too subtle for that. But they'll look at you with disdain, as though you've exposed their weaknesses by daring to be authentic. Look at how society idolizes things like wealth, beauty, and status. The more you embrace those ideals, the more you fit in, right? But the moment you start living by your values that don't involve chasing fleeting trends or clinging to societal approval, people start to shift in their seats. You're disrupting their comfort zone, and they can't stand it. Your individuality becomes a mirror to their insecurities, making them feel inferior for not daring to do the same. They'll justify their resentment by telling themselves it's because you're different or too much. But in reality, it's simply because you've dared to live authentically, and in doing so, you've made them feel small for not doing the same. Take a look at the workplace. Maybe you're the person who insists on working your way, independently, creatively, maybe even with unconventional methods. You're met with side glances and subtle gossip. Why can't they just do it the usual way? Someone asks behind your back. Why? Because your refusal to conform challenges their worldview. They don't see creativity or individuality. They see disruption. And disruption is uncomfortable. Here's the thing. Don't let society's expectations be your jailer. The Stoics were clear. We can't control what others think. So why spend your life tailoring your actions to please them? Marcus Aurelius once said, "What we do now echoes in eternity." You're here to live authentically, not to appease a society that values shallow conformity over true self-expression. So, stop adjusting to meet the standards of a world that would rather have you quiet and predictable. Focus on your values, your passions, and the unique contribution you bring. If people resent you for it, that's on them. You've chosen the higher path, the path of integrity. And trust me, in the long run, it's the only one that truly matters. Let them fester in their need to conform, while you stand tall in the freedom of being unapologetically you. Number 6. They project their issues onto you. Let's talk about a little game people like to play, projection. It's a perfect defense mechanism for those who don't want to confront their demons. Instead of dealing with their insecurities, flaws, or past failures, they project them onto someone else, you. How charming, right? It's as if they take all the emotional baggage they've never unpacked and toss it right onto your lap, expecting you to carry it. Suddenly, you're the one who's selfish, lazy, or even wrong, when, in reality, it's just them grappling with their unresolved issues. Take a simple example from the workplace. Let's say you're putting in extra hours to complete a project, doing everything you can to meet deadlines and exceed expectations. But then, one colleague, who's barely been lifting a finger, starts acting resentful. They make snide remarks about your work ethic or accuse you of trying too hard. Sound familiar? What's happening here is simple. Your dedication is shining a light on their lack of effort. They feel insecure about their work and, rather than address their shortcomings, they lash out at you. In this case, their negative behavior isn't about you. It's about their guilt and discomfort with their lack of effort. In personal relationships, it's no different. Have you ever been in a situation where someone accuses you of being controlling, even though you're simply trying to offer support? Maybe you're concerned about a friend who's making poor decisions, but instead of appreciating your concern, they start projecting their fears or feelings of inadequacy onto you. They might accuse you of being overbearing or judgmental, when in fact, your only goal is to help. Their emotional baggage, whether it's past trauma, fear of being controlled, or even jealousy, becomes something you have to bear. So how do you deal with this? First, remember that it's not you. When someone projects their issues onto you, it's often because they're not ready to face their struggles. They need someone to deflect their pain onto, and right now, that person is you. Recognize it for what it is, a projection of their internal world, not an attack on your character. One of the most important things you can do is to not take it personally. Stay grounded in your sense of self. Practice self-awareness and ask yourself, am I really the problem here? More often than not, the answer is no. People who project are simply looking for someone to blame because they can't face their discomfort. If you can recognize when projection is happening, you've already won half the battle. The next step is to maintain your peace. Don't let their insecurity become your burden. Stay calm, centered, and compassionate toward them, but also recognize when it's time to set boundaries. You don't have to absorb their negativity or play into their drama. In Stoic terms, the greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. So, if someone is projecting their issues onto you, see it as an opportunity to practice emotional resilience and peace. They can project all they want, but you have the power to remain unaffected and let it roll off like water on a duck's back. In the end, remember, your peace is priceless. Don't let anyone's unresolved issues rob you of it. Focus on yourself, stay grounded, and rise above their attempts to drag you into their mess. Number 7. They can't keep up with society's growth, and you're a reminder of that. Here's a fun one. When people can't keep up with the pace of society's progress, they tend to resent those who do. You're not doing anything wrong. You're simply evolving, growing, and thriving in an ever-changing world. But for those who are stuck in their comfort zones, your progress becomes a glaring reminder of their stagnation. They're frustrated because they see you adapting, learning new things, and taking on challenges they feel they can't handle. And that frustration, well, it turns into resentment. It's like this. Imagine you're working in a fast-paced, cutting-edge industry, technology, for example. While the world is diving into artificial intelligence and automation, some colleagues, who refuse to learn, are still using outdated methods and complaining about the good old days. And then there you are, mastering the latest software, driving new initiatives, and pushing boundaries. But instead of cheering you on, they give you the cold shoulder. They're not mad at you. They're mad at themselves for not evolving with the times. They resent the fact that you've embraced change while they've resisted it. Now, let's take a personal example. Ever notice how some people who have stuck to the old ways in relationships or social norms tend to criticize you for challenging those norms? Maybe you're more open-minded or inclusive, and you embrace progressive ideas about love, career, or personal identity. But to those who are stuck in rigid, outdated expectations, you're a threat. Your lifestyle, your growth, the things you value, they're all reminders of their inability to embrace change. You're not just challenging their ideas, you're challenging their entire worldview. So how do you navigate this? First, let's acknowledge the truth. Their frustration is not your problem. They're upset because you're growing in ways they haven't figured out yet. It's easy to feel like you need to slow down or dumb yourself down to make them feel comfortable, but that's not your responsibility. Your journey is your own, and it's okay to keep moving forward at your own pace. Actionable tip: when you encounter resistance from those who are lagging, don't internalize their frustrations. Recognize that they are simply struggling to keep up with the times, and that's not something you can control. Be kind, but don't dim your light. Stay focused on your growth, keep pushing forward, and don't let their discomfort stop your progress. Use their resistance as motivation. Show them that change is inevitable, and that growth is something to be celebrated, not feared. Remember, you can't make everyone keep up with your pace, and you shouldn't have to. Keep evolving, learning, and growing. The world is full of possibilities, and your journey is your own. If they can't keep up, that's not your burden to carry. And as Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "What we do now echoes in eternity." Your growth will have a lasting impact, whether others recognize it or not. Keep pushing forward with purpose, and let those who struggle to keep up find their path at their own pace. Number 8. They feel threatened because you unintentionally attract all the love and benefits. Let's face it, sometimes you don't even have to try to attract all the attention, love, and opportunities around you. You might just be minding your own business, being your authentic self, and others start to take notice. But for some people, this very attention can make them feel threatened, even though they haven't done anything wrong. Their jealousy, insecurity, or fear of being left behind comes from the fact that they feel overshadowed by the affection, admiration, or opportunities that seem to follow theme wherever they go. This can happen at work, in social settings, or even within family dynamics. Imagine this: you're at work, just doing your job, when your boss starts to praise you for your excellent performance, and your colleagues start seeking your advice. You've naturally earned the trust and respect of those around you. But this sudden rise in attention can create friction. The person who feels overlooked, who has struggled to get similar recognition, might not be thrilled with the spotlight shining your way. It's not that they hate you. It's that your success, your relationship, and your growth are a constant reminder of what they feel they're lacking. Or think about the social circle where everyone loves being around you. You don't try to outshine others, but somehow, people are drawn to you. It could be your positive energy, your ability to connect, or your passion for life. But one person in the group, who is maybe feeling insecure or disconnected, might resent the attention you're receiving, not because you're taking it from them, but because they feel as though they can't compete with the love and approval you effortlessly gather. Here's the kicker: you don't have to change who you are, but you do have to approach this situation with compassion and empathy. People's insecurities are often not about you. They're about how they perceive themselves about the world around them. Their discomfort or jealousy stems from their unresolved feelings. And, while it can be frustrating to unintentionally trigger these emotions, responding with compassion will disarm their negative feelings. Actionable tip: start by practicing compassion for those who feel threatened by your success or presence. Recognize that their reactions are more about their internal battles than anything you've done. When you notice this happening, take a moment to reflect. How can you show empathy without dimming your light? Approach them with kindness, understanding, and openness. Perhaps offer a compliment, lend a hand, or simply listen to what they're going through. By doing so, you'll not only help them feel heard, but you'll also keep your peace intact. You don't need to shrink to make others feel better, but you can nurture a compassionate environment where everyone's insecurities can begin to heal. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So, keep your thoughts focused on compassion and understanding, and let the love and respect others seek to be reflected in your actions. Be the light that others need, and use your gifts to uplift, not compete with, those around you. Number 9. They feel overlooked and unfairly treated while you seem to have everything come easily. Life can feel like a constant battle, with many fighting for recognition, fairness, and the opportunities they deserve. But sometimes, by mere chance or the way society is structured, certain people seem to have it easier. You might find yourself in a position where recognition, success, or love comes naturally. Maybe it's your hard work, your talent, or just pure luck. But to someone who's been working tirelessly, facing roadblock after roadblock, it can seem like you've won the lottery of life, and they've been left behind. This dynamic can cause resentment, especially when it seems like the rewards and benefits you receive are just a product of random chance. You didn't do anything wrong, And in fact, you might be deserving of every opportunity that comes your way. But when others around you are struggling, dealing with inequality, and facing injustice, it's hard not to notice how easily things fall into your lap. And that's where the feelings of unfairness come from. They might start resenting you not because of your success, but because they feel like they're constantly being passed over, no matter how hard they try. In the workplace, imagine you've recently been promoted or given a prestigious opportunity. Perhaps you were just in the right place at the right time, or maybe you've been recognized for your potential, but the others around you, who have worked for years without such recognition, may feel slighted. They've put in the time, the energy, and the sweat, but it seems like the system, or life itself, has favored you in ways they could never foresee. Or think about your personal life. Perhaps you're in a loving relationship that seems to thrive effortlessly, while someone close to you has been searching for connection and struggling with their relationships. Your ease in relationships might feel like a slap in the face to them, especially when they feel like they've done everything they could to make things work, only to face disappointment. Here's the reality. Life is random, unfair, and often unpredictable. The success, love, and recognition you receive may have little to do with how hard you've worked compared to others. Sometimes, it's just the way the cards are dealt. But while it's easy to feel guilty or conflicted about your success, it's important to remember that life is not a zero-sum game. The success or recognition of one person does not diminish the potential of others. It only adds to the richness of the world. So, how can you handle this situation with compassion and love? The key is to practice empathy and mindfulness. Recognize the feelings of others, acknowledge the challenges they face, and choose kindness over defensiveness. When you find yourself in a position of privilege or success, don't diminish others' struggles or ignore their pain. Instead, practice mindfulness by recognizing that your success doesn't diminish theirs, but it does give you a responsibility to uplift and help those around you. Actionable tip: the next time you feel that twinge of guilt or discomfort because of the benefits you've received, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, how can I help others who are struggling? Can I use my position or recognition to make a positive impact in their lives? Practice active listening, show compassion, and be aware of the struggles others are going through. Offer your support and share your success in a way that inspires, not intimidates. Remind yourself that true success isn't just about personal gain, but about contributing to the betterment of others. As you walk through life, remember, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. And in that kindness, may you find not just peace for yourself, but the ability to uplift others with you on your journey. Number 10. They think they've contributed to your success, but feel forgotten. Oh, how often people think they're the unsung heroes behind your success. It's almost as if they believe their random words of encouragement, or that one small favor they did for you years ago, are the secret ingredients that helped you reach the heights you've attained. The reality? They often overlook the fact that success, especially when it's earned, is a culmination of many factors, some internal, some external, and not a single individual's doing. But, in the grand theater of the human ego, everyone loves the illusion of being the hero in someone else's success story, right? Let's be real. We've all had that friend, colleague, or acquaintance who helped us along the way but now seems to think that their input deserves a starring role in your accomplishments. They think that if you don't mention their name in your victory speech, you're somehow dishonoring their valuable contributions. Yet, they've quietly ignored the fact that you did the heavy lifting, the blood, sweat, and tears to get there in the first place. Take the example of someone at work who, after hearing of your promotion, casually says, "I always knew you'd get there. I gave you that piece of advice back in the day." While that advice may have been one of many inputs, their statement doesn't quite add up to the hard work and dedication that you put in every single day. Still, they believe they played a significant role. They've even convinced themselves that their words of wisdom were what paved the way. Or think about a family member who, after you achieve a milestone, reminds you, "Remember when I told you about that opportunity? You owe me one." Yet, what they forget is that it was your relentless drive, your perseverance, and your decisions that led to the result. Yes, they might have been there for a pep talk or to give you the extra nudge, but they weren't the ones pulling you up the ladder. The most humorous part, these people truly believe you've forgotten them, while they're the ones who haven't contributed as much as they think. It's a classic case of someone who believes they had a hand in your success, but played a very minor role in the grand scheme of things. Actionable tip: the next time someone approaches you with a subtle, yet loaded statement about their contribution to your success, practice the art of Stoic detachment. Smile and acknowledge their help, but don't get caught up in defending your achievements. After all, the only person who truly knows the blood, sweat, and tears you put in is you. Don't let others' inflated sense of importance cloud your vision or steal your hard-earned peace. Remember, their attempt to claim a role in your success is more about their need for validation than their actual journey. Now, for your peace of mind, don't dwell on it. Acknowledge their contribution, but quietly remind yourself that true success is earned, not given. Keep moving forward, knowing that their ego isn't your problem. Success doesn't require a thank you from everyone, and that's where the real strength lies. In the end, the world around you will always have people who think they contributed to your success, or believe you owe them something for their perceived support. They might not understand the full extent of your journey, nor the struggles and sacrifices that shaped your path. But here's the truth: your success is yours and yours alone. It's the result of your hard work, your perseverance, and your ability to stay true to your values, no matter what others may say or think. The Stoics teach us that our sense of self-worth should not be determined by the recognition or validation of others. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that what we do now echoes at eternity. Your actions, the decisions you make, and the character you uphold will be remembered, not the empty words of those who try to take credit for your work. So, as you move forward, stay grounded in your truth. Know that your journey is yours to walk, and no one else can define it for you. Don't be swayed by the opinions or expectations of others. Instead, cultivate compassion for those who project their insecurities, or feel they should have a part in your accomplishments. They may not understand your path, but you do. And when they come to you, expecting thanks or recognition for what they believe they've done for you, respond with kindness, not defensiveness. Acknowledge their feelings, but remember that their need for validation is about them, not about you. Keep your focus on your purpose, and let go of the weight of unnecessary expectations. In doing so, you free yourself from the emotional burdens that others try to place upon you. Remember, the true reward lies in your ability to remain steadfast, humble, and calm in the face of others' projections. You are the master of your journey. Let the opinions of others roll off you like water, for you know that the only approval you need is your own. Stay true to your values, and let your actions speak louder than any claim someone else may make to your success. Let go of the need for recognition, embrace your journey with grace, and keep moving forward with strength, humility, and wisdom. Now, let's rise above the noise and continue our pursuit of peace, purpose, and true success.